Hey everybody, EchoV here, and the box art. Probably the first thing you see and think of when you see a game. The box art to me is meant to represent what a game has to offer to me, as well as what and who should I expect when I eventually pick up the game and finally play it for the first time. A box art so good that they do it again onto the game disc itself, regardless of size. Too bad that isn't always the case. Art is subjective, and the same applies to the box art. For this video, I'll be talking about bad box art for the game console that I played the most growing up, the original PlayStation, looking at both NTSC and PAL versions. Anyway, here we go! Let's start off with the one that probably got you all furious just by looking at the thumbnail, Final Fantasy IX. The Final Fantasy series is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time. No matter how modern and newer entries have become, I still love the series and enjoyed every one of them. As for why I think the NTSC box art for Final Fantasy IX is bad, well, it's because of how copy-pasted it looks. Now, compare 9's box art to 7, 8, or even Tactics, and they all look naturally made. It's like the artist really put in the effort in making them blend in, and therefore much better than the PAL version, which is just a name slapped on a white background. As for 9, it's pretty much a mixed bag for me. While I think 9's NTSC box art is better than the PAL version, the jumbled mess of characters really puts me off. Remember when during class pictures back in elementary, the photographer later tells you all to make wacky poses? Yeah, same thing. Now, if they had done it like what they did for a re-release on the Switch, then I wouldn't have complained. Yeah, I know it's still the character renders, but at least they don't clash with each other horribly like the PS1 NTSC did. As Spyro the Dragon, one of the most iconic characters during the PS1 era, along with fellow mascot Crash Bandicoot. When talking about bad box arts, for a long time, I would have thought that the PAL version of Spyro 2, especially if that stupid name would never be dethroned for bad PS1 Spyro box art. But then Spyro 3 came and changed it all. First off, the logo. Why would they block the logo? Spyro 3's logo is one of the best in the series, yet they block it. You never block a logo unless you have a reason, such as maybe Spyro bursting out the logo or something. But no, Spyro just straight up blocks it with his skateboard. Secondly, they use the in-game models for the box art. Now, I am well aware that both versions use the in-game models, but unlike the NTSC version, which manages to blend them well together by the way, PAL does not, especially Bentley. Yeesh, they did him dirty. Also, where the heck is Sheila? She's on the NTSC box art, so why is she not in the PAL box art? Spyro 3 is the first game in the series with multiple playable characters, and the PAL version doesn't showcase them all. Now, if it had a fighting game style roster, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But it isn't, and I'm not fine. Also, the blue background is weird. The shades of red and orange in the NTSC version makes them all stand out. The shades of blue does not. It almost makes Spyro blend in. Which is weird, I mean, isn't that the reason why they made him purple in the first place? Why are they repeating the same mistake here? Another addition to bad PAL box arts will have to go to the PAL box art for Tomba! Or Tombi, since it's the PAL version that I think is bad. First off, I know why the name was changed to the PAL release, so I won't say anything about it. What I will say, however, is that between the hand-drawn art style for that NTSC release and the 3D art for the PAL version, I'm gonna go with the hand-drawn style due to how rare it is nowadays. There's just something about the hand-drawn art style for Tomba that I like more. Probably because it reminds me of the hand-drawn art style used for the Japanese and European Super Mario Bros. Box art. Yes, I'm aware that the NTSC version still has some 3D render present, but the problem is that the PAL version is too much of an eyesore for me! It's way too bright! Seriously, it feels like I need to wear sunglasses every time I see the PAL art, just to protect myself from the horrible mess of brightness. Someone really cranked up the saturation this one way too high, didn't they? The NTSC version, on the other hand, balances the coloring much better in my eyes, both figuratively and literally. For a game considered by many to be one of the best games to be sold on the console, Metal Gear Solid's NTSC box art doesn't exactly scream good box art. And before anyone comments on how I'm saying the NTSC version is bad while the PAL version is good, when I said that the PAL Fantasy ones aren't good, simply put, the PAL Final Fantasy box art aren't just a bunch of text on a white background. There is more to it. The Final Fantasy logos always have amazing art as well as color to match to complement the title. Usually something significant to the game, its world, and its story. Metal Gear Solid doesn't have that. It's just plain red text. Now, compared to the PAL version, and you can see what initially looks like a jumbled up mess of red streaks. Look closer, however, and you realize that's actually Snake himself. Tactical espionage action indeed. Now, from what I've heard, the NTSC version has a glossy effect that needs to be seen in person. As cool as that is, it's not enough for me to say it's bad. It's still plain text, with nothing to complement it. They really should have kept the outer cover instead. Much better by a mile. Hot take time! I think the NTSC box set for first Silent Hill looks really good. I don't know why, but the inverted coloring and the mirror-ish effect that the NTSC version has is scary enough to tell you that the game isn't for a lighthearted and that you should think twice before you even play this game. Heck, maybe even triple. Of course, I won't tell that the PAL version isn't scary. Far from it, actually. I think it's terrifying as well and does a better job at representing what the game is about, focusing more on Alessa than the NTSC version, which doesn't even try. Unfortunately, I see less terror and more bad art design. Yes, I know it's because of the graphical limitations, not to mention what they had access to at the time, but they could have easily done better rather than make Alessa look like a poorly made prosthetic mask. I'm really sorry, but it's what I see, okay? Leave me alone. An obscure yet fun arcade game, I think Bust the Movies were the more hidden games in the console, and the PAL box art managed to capture it so well, with beautiful coloring, colorful bubbles, and some candy-looking gears. I wonder how the NTSC version handled it. What in the... Oh my god! What were the NTSC artists thinking? Exactly how does this box art show anything about the game behind the desk? Where do I even begin? The dark broody colors, the toothpick eyeball torture, the hideous face used and repeated? This box art should be a crime, and whoever decided and approved this should have been fired. I mean, do I need to say anything else? Who exactly would buy a game like this with a box art like this? And the icing on top? The tagline. So addictive, it should be illegal. Well, you're right about one thing. This box art should be illegal. Ah, Castlevania, you beautiful franchise, you. With an art style like this for a PAL version designed by artist Ayami Kojima featuring main protagonist Alucard, it's a mysterious wonder why it didn't sell well in the UK at the time of release. This is easily one of the best looking box art I've had the pleasure of playing eyes on. Could it be because of your NTSC box art? Because dear Dracula above, the NTSC version is as generic can be. Can someone please tell me why they would remove such amazing art in favor of a stock art from a quick Google search? Heck, I can already hear the generic thunder cracking sound effect of this art. You know, the... I mean, what else is there to say? Could this box art actually be the reason why people don't see artists being good enough? If so, then what the hell? To wrap up this video, let's talk about wrestling games. Although the quality of wrestling video games in recent years, specifically the WWE brand, have been questionable just figuring out what they're going to do, I am adamant that I think wrestling video games were at their prime almost 2 decades ago. Heck, even more with the original PlayStation's Know Your Role. Going back to the topic of box arts, one of my favorite parts of a new wrestling video game was to see which superstar was going to be in the cover, with DX on 2009's, AJ Styles on 2K19's, and Batista and Cena on 2006's. For Know Your Rule's NTSC box art, we have Dwayne and Triple H taking center stage, with Jericho and Undertaker, although in the background, are still good enough to be in focus. As for pals, well... Dwayne, please, can you maybe just back up a bit? Okay, maybe back up a lot instead. That would be nice. I'm getting kinda claustrophobic here. Okay, I get it. To be fair, Zervago's were the biggest megastars of that era, but could he at least be in color? In the PAL version, Triple H and Chyna are there with him, both shaded in blues, just like Jericho and Undertaker in the NTSC version. Dwayne in the PAL version is also shaded in blue. Yes, really, that's one of my nitpicks. No one's ink on the PAL version, and boy does that bother me. Also, can we talk about the title card? The NTSC version captures the graphic of SmackDown logo at the time perfectly. Even the 2 and the title look so neatly done together. And as for the PAL version, it looks like a child trying to copy for the first time, and just splatter 2 in there with their fingers and just sloppy with the title using MS Word. It's creative freedom done wrong. And that's it for this video. Whether you agree or disagree, leave it in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. If it's your birthday today, then happy birthday, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone, be good to each other.